Hello and welcome to another short drawing lesson. This week we've had a request from Isha, who obviously likes a challenge because they've asked for a Pagani. So it's going to be quite tricky, so I highly recommend you draw as lightly as possible because there might be some tweaking that needs to be made. The first thing we'll do, get my reference up, is a front wheel over here. And then the next wheel will be 2 3/4 of a wheel further back, so quite a long wheelbase. So there's 1, 2, that would be 3, so that would be 3/4, and then the rear wheel. Next, we can do the bottom of the car, which is sort of horizontal at the front, cuts through the bottom of the wheel there, and then after about 1 wheel, it drops off towards the back, like that. So the back of the car is going to get a bit bigger than the front. Next, for the very point, the nose of the car, we'll come to the middle of your front wheel, measure, say, 3/4 of a wheel in front. 3/4, something like that. And then come down just the tiniest little bit. That would be the nose of your car. So we'll come up, follow the wheel round. Under here we've just got a little overhang and a splitter or a spoiler. Once you've gone around the top of the wheel, it drops down a little bit, but no lower than the top of your wheel. Just stay up there. We've also got a bulge to put over the back wheel. And unusually, I mean, you might think that the highest point would be directly above the highest point of the wheel, but it's actually slightly in front, just about here maybe. So you want a nice sort of bulging, beefy arch over there. See, the high point is just here rather than there. And then this line is going to come up to sort of meet it. It's not going to run smoothly into it. It wants to go along straight for a bit and then bulge up higher. The back of the car, it's got a small overhang at the back here. Don't know what that is, about 1/3 of a wheel or something. And a very sloping rear. And then coming out the back tyre here, we've got this upward slope. And then hanging off the bottom, we've got, might as well do it now, we've got a diffuser. Probably not quite that big, something like that. Right, there's the bottom half. There is one important line that we need to add to this, which is a diagonal that runs all the way through it. It has a very slight curve, and it's going to go through, kind of wants to kind of split this section here almost in half. It's probably a bit smaller at the top than the bottom. It's going to go through this back wheel around here somewhere. It's going to go through the front wheel just below the centre and then come to about here. So it's a very slight curve to it. It's not straight like with a ruler. Got a slight curve. It's a really important line for this car. And then on the front of there, we've got this kind of arrow shape. Right, let's move to the top half. So the highest point is probably about 1 wheel in. So if you go to your 1 wheel mark and come up from there, that's probably about the highest point of your cockpit. So you can do a slight curving horizontal line there. And the windscreen will come out just a tiny bit behind where the centre of your wheel would be. So you've got quite a flat windscreen, kind of a flatter angle than the nose of your car there. And then once you've been across the top there, it will drop down to meet a similar point above the back wheel. So halfway from the centre of your back wheel up here, that's about where that line would come to, but don't do it too firmly because we've got to change the shape of that slightly. Give that roof a bit of thickness, and then you can add a pillar that's heading towards the centre of your front wheel. That's your front wheel pillar there. Front wheel pillar? A pillar. And then at the back, it kind of heads towards the centre of your back wheel. So it comes down. See if that line extended, it would kind of carry on down towards that centre of the rear wheel. Make sure we're still on camera. It's all quite complex up there. There's another pillar, a B pillar here. And now in this space here, we've got some sort of air intake, it looks like. And then a strange shape here that's like brings the side of the car up a little bit higher, that runs into that air box. So that's why I said to draw lightly, because there's a lot of planning and just lightly putting things in. On top is another air box of some sort. There's an air intake here. And then this section here gets chopped off, so just about here where the front edge of your rear wheel, if you come up from there, this section here just needs to be chopped off. I think that's probably enough for this cockpit area. What we can do is add a rear view mirror just perched on there. And we can add a spoiler that's just pretty much a rectangle up here with a couple of struts. And now we can go back to this lower section. We've got various shapes here. There's a scoop in front, behind the front wheel and in front of the back wheel. It curves slightly to follow the curve of the wheel. And then there's a nice overhanging section. Goes in there. And there's probably a bit of thickness. There's like a floor or a sill down the bottom there. Probably ought to put our door shut line in. So if you follow this, that's the easiest way of doing that. This line here is about, so it goes like a zigzag, I suppose, isn't it? And there's a shut line here in line with your front pillar. So I think that's most of the important stuff. We can do some details now. There's little stepped headlights sticking out. I think we've got a little badge here. There is something there, I don't know what that is. There's a door handle and a little keyhole or something. A little section that's cut off here and that side window. And that's probably all the important stuff. So now we can just put the floor in. Quite tricky, isn't it? And now we can finally start to press a little bit harder. We'll just suggest the wheel on the far side of the car at the front there. Probably won't really see much of the back one because the car comes so low there. But you can darken any undersides of things that are overhangs, just because that's where you'd get a bit of shadow. So the bottom of the wing spoiler, the underside of this cut-out shape can be a little bit darker. Any of those bits. Definitely the inside of the cockpit, because you can usually see up inside the roof. See the pillars on the far side. Maybe even the steering wheel you'd see in there. There's a small window section there too, the underside of that scoop. And I'll just firm up this line that runs through the side of the car, because it is a real important feature on this Pagani. You can just firm up that first line as well. It's got a little bit lost, but it's these are quite important lines for the shape of the car, aren't they? Try not to go overboard though with all this darkening lines. Go carefully, because you could end up making a nice sketch look a bit scribbly. You could put a tiny bit of detail in the wheels. Luckily these have got 8 spokes, which makes it very easy to divide up. Just do some crosses and then the in-between ones. You don't have to draw all of them. You can just suggest where they are. Just clear up those wheel arches slightly. And I think that's just about it. think I've got all the important stuff in. It's up to you how much more detail and stuff you want to go and put in. But hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for the interesting challenge. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see some more. Otherwise, have a great week, and I'll see you again for some more soon.